live. Hello everyone, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, and welcome to the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues episode number 94. Today my dialogue partner will be Christopher Smith out of IMB Connecticut. So we'll give him a few minutes to come on board. Hey, Eric Rodriguez, Bob Landers is here, Sifu Randy's here. Mark Stewart is sending me a message. I'll have to talk to him later. Sean Foon, hi. Frank, hey, Frank Cox, what's happening? It's one of my buddies down in Barbados. All right, I love it when those guys come on. Ian Goldie's here. All right, so Mark Hathey, welcome. Let me just get on all my pages here. All right, hey, Mr. Porter. I'm doing fine, Pedro. How are you? All right, so yeah, so if you guys would be kind enough to say where you're logging in from and hit the like button, and feel free to continue hitting the like button. Anything spectacular happens. All right, Terry Rodriguez, all right. Okay, cool. Hey, Mark Stewart, in answer to your question, let's see, the first part. Yes, something is happening. There has been luck. And on the second part, there's been no response. So we'll see what happens. All right. So maybe Mr. Smith is taking the invitation sent, so we're good there. Right. And we'll just wait for him to come on. But yeah, Mark, stuff is in the works, as they say. All right. What can I tell you to fill time before Chris Smith shows up? On Monday, we'll have another episode of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues, and that will be with Mario Pezzo, and I know him through the Junfan Kung Fu Institute out of Seattle. So, but he's another guy like Chris Smith that I only know by name and reputation. So, as I get to know them, you guys get to know them simultaneously. So we're adding him in. Looks good. Say something. Oh, yeah.
Hey, can you hear me?
Man, you're soft-spoken. Good God.
Awesome.
I was just telling the crowd that I know you only by name and reputation. Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully the reputation is good.
Yeah, so it's all good. And as some of you might know, two of my former JKD Dialogues partners have recommended that I get a hold of Chris Smith, and that's Russell Leake and Dean Franco. So I reached out, and Mr. Smith was gracious enough to spend some time with us. So I got to tell you this, you psyched me out. You have 2 Facebook profiles. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
you weren't aware of that? Yeah, you
I do.
Yeah. And I thought I had discovered
wow.
like some background hidden stuff on you, but there was nothing there.
I'm not that interesting.
But welcome to the Jeet Kune Do Dialogue, sir. How you doing?
I'm great, and thank you. Thank you. This is really exciting.
Well, okay. Well, I don't know if exciting will be it, but I do know that you told your people you're going to have a lot to say, and that some of it might even be interesting, right?
It might be. It might be. I'm going to try. I'm going to try and deliver.
So let me do this. I was going to do this later, but let me do it now. In researching you, 2 other names show up all the time. So you have to tell us, who is Kit Salazar Smith, and who is Missy Lochavo? Lochavo. Okay, all right. So let's start there. Because they seem to be important.
Okay, so they are very important. There are several women in my life that are very, very important. There's a few. Kit Salazar Smith is my mom, and believe me, obviously I owe her a huge debt of gratitude.
We all do.
Yeah. And Missy is my girlfriend.
All right. Oh well, then I hit the nail on the head. All right.
Absolutely, and they keep me running. They keep me going. keep me out of trouble. And I'm sure that I keep them just shaking their head all the time, you know. So.
All right. So obviously, the main thing that I know about you is that you are a student of the late great legend Jeet Kune Do's Iron Man, Richard Bustillo. Yeah. Right. Okay. So
Yes.
let's start
Yeah.
there. How did you meet? Start to train under him, and then eventually become certified as an instructor under him.
All right. So that's a crazy story. Because it's layered. You know, I was studying Jeet Kune Do with Ron Kazakowski, who, I mean, he was my first Jeet Kune Do instructor, and really gave me a great foundation. You know what I mean? So I was training with him, and a friend of ours from the community brought Seagung Richard in for a seminar. And the first day I couldn't go. I was working. So my cousin went, Ron went, everyone else went, and they were like, yo, he came back and he had these drills and he did this. And I'm like, man, I should have gone. I should have just blown work off, you know? So I went the next day and so I did blow work off. And I met him, and I had started boxing competitively for a little while, and he really he took to me. I took to him, he took to me. When we were doing the boxing segment of his seminar, we're in this huge auditorium, and what happens is he had us doing some kind of a hand speed drill. And he had us lined up and bap, 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 you know, and if you know him, you know he loved boxing. And at one point he says, stop. And he goes, let me hear him do it again. And so I did the combination, you know. He's like, can you go faster? I'm like, yeah, sure. And that was our first real meeting, our real, you know, us being around each other. And he used to call me Tracy because he said I reminded him of Tracy Harris Patterson, Floyd Patterson's adopted son or stepson, adopted son. He said I boxed like him. And he used to, like, on all of the correspondence we would have, he would call me Tracy.
That's great.
So I met him that time, you know, and I was like, I really like what this guy does. And then along the way, you know, I was still training with Ron. This is like 1991, 92, maybe 92, definitely 91. So I've been with Ron for a few years, and let's see, put in a lot of time with Larry Hartzell, and I liked what Sifu Larry was doing. I loved his stuff. Just again, Seagung Bustillo and I, we clicked. And when I made the conversion or the switch, do you remember in 1996 or 95, they put together the Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do nucleus? So when all of the original guys had that big, huge summit, their meeting, and they decided to do something. They were going to do an inaugural seminar in San Francisco. And when I heard about this, I'm like, yo, this sounds awesome. And Ron was going. A friend of mine, Jason Silverman, was going. He had gotten the invitation.
You know
from,
Jason
from
Silverman from formerly of Boston, Massachusetts? You know him? Oh, that crazy nut.
Yeah. In fact, I helped Jason take his levels 2 and 3 tests under.
Did you really?
Yeah, especially the level 3 test under Larry was you had to demonstrate the ability to coach someone through different aspects of the art. And he coached me through it. You know?
Jason Silverman. Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. What got you
Yeah.
into boxing?
Yeah.
Because you were in boxing before martial art, right?
No, I was in, it was Paul Vunak, who, when we would go and train
Okay.
with him, he used to always say, get in there with a boxer, get in there with a Muay Thai fighter. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll get in there with a boxer.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wait, let me
And
stop you for a second because now your
all
your
of a sudden,
chronology. Okay, so
sure.
now I'm confused. So now we got to go all. Let's dial it all the way back to first
Okay.
interest in martial arts and what did you do?
Okay. First interest in martial arts. I actually had no interest in martial
Really?
arts. Um, yeah. My mom made
Okay.
me go. Um, I was always small. I was a small kid, and I had a smart mouth, and I had a
Okay.
lot of energy.
That's a good. That's a
And
good combination. That's a good place to start.
yeah. And but even though I had a smart mouth, I wasn't a coward. So my mom is like, this kid's gonna get killed, you know. So she would make me take martial arts. It was, you know, your
Yeah.
Tang Sudo,
Right.
whatever was offered. You know, there wasn't much. There wasn't really much at all offered that was different at, you
Mhm.
know, way back when. And I would go for a little while, and I would stop. And I would go for a little while, and I would stop. And that went off and on. Uh, till I was around
Okay.
17. And then when I was 17, I realized I actually like this stuff. And I was still doing Tang Sudo. I had found a guy who was really good. He was tough. He was tough on
Mhm.
me, which I liked. And that's now the only problem was is that I was doing Tang Sudo and I liked it because we did a lot of sparring. But there's a reason why a bigger guy can be defeated by a smaller guy. There was a reason why there's 10, 20, 30, 1,000 different martial arts. And I just always liked Bruce Lee like
Right.
everybody else did. And when I finally discovered that Bruce Lee developed his own system, I was like, whoa,
Mhm.
what's this called? I find out it's
Mhm.
called Jeet Kune Do. And I looked around, and I bought an issue of Black Belt magazine. And I had discovered that there was a guy teaching Jeet Kune Do uh, on the other end of Connecticut in a town called Milford, which is about 40
Okay.
minutes from where I live. So I met the guy. He was cool. He was nice. He said, hey, in a couple of weeks, I'm having a seminar. Why don't you come check it out? I go to the seminar, and it was good. But there was a guy there with a ponytail, and he's better than the instructor, you know. And I don't like saying that
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I don't like to
Yeah.
single people out, but I'm like, whoa, but this guy's really, really good. But
Mhm.
I just let it go. So at the time, uh, I didn't have much money. I was in college, and I'm like, but I want to do this Jeet Kune Do stuff. And so I was looking in the newspaper for jobs, and there's an ad, and it says self-defense students wanted. Uh, Filipino martial arts, Jeet Kune Do, some other stuff, and I'm like, let me
Right.
call this guy. So I call him, and we're talking, and he's like, hey, I teach a class on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Why don't you come by? I teach in my garage. And then I go, and when I got there, I'm like, you're the guy from the seminar. And he's like, yeah. And
Okay.
it was Ron. It was
Right.
Ron Kozikowski. So had I
Right.
not been broke, had I not been looking for a job,
You would have never met him. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
all right.
So and
So that's how that got started. Okay.
and he, yeah, and he introduced. He
Right.
couldn't get rid of me. I would be at his
Yeah.
house all the time. I would do
Yeah.
private lessons with him. I would follow him everywhere, help him with demonstrations. I mean, he really gave me a foundation and gave me an opportunity to see what
Okay.
was out there. I didn't know that
Hmm.
what was
Hmm.
out there,
Yeah.
you know.
Um,
And
so
so,
let me ask you this. why Jeet Kune Do, right?
Sure.
As in, what was it about Jeet Kune Do, or what was it about Jeet Kune Do? So the question is, why Jeet Kune Do? And then the second part of the question is, why still Jeet Kune Do? Does that make sense?
Okay. That makes great sense. Why Jeet Kune Do? Originally, because I was a fan of Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
That's the honest truth.
That's a big club.
But what kept me, it's probably the biggest club. You know, I don't think the world realizes the debt, or at least the martial arts community. I don't know if they realize the debt that they owe the man. You know, you don't want to call him if you want to call him the father of mixed martial arts, great. If you don't, that's great. But most people know him. Do you know what I mean?
Did you hear I think I just saw it today that in China they have delayed Quentin Tarantino's film because somebody has complained about the Bruce Lee scene in China. In China, it's I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea. Yeah. Okay. All right. So so a fan of Bruce Lee, then you get into it and you discover what about Jeet Kune Do?
So at first I discovered that, okay, so they're operating in the three ranges: long range, close range, and grappling range. I realized that, which I liked, because Tang Soo Do didn't offer any conflict resolution on the ground, you know? In fact, when I used my Tang Soo Do in street fights, if someone turned their back, I just jumped on their back. I literally jumped on their back. I'm like, this is what Captain Kirk would have done, so that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not kidding.
You're other boyhood hero.
Exactly. So that they operate in the different ranges. And then the deeper you go, the more you discover that, like, wait a second, this is about research. This is about my own personal research. This is about my journey. And I always liked art as a kid. I still like art. I consider myself an artist. You know, like I paint, photography. That's my thing. You know, anything. Even studied dance. I love the arts, and art is self-expression. And this was the first martial art that encouraged that. Not just was okay with it, but encouraged research, self-exploration.
Yeah, because the classical arts don't do that. It's like, here's how it's done. Just copy this and do it the way everybody else is doing it. Yeah.
Right.
Did you study art in college?
Yes. Yeah, I've had a couple of my illustrations printed. I've had some of my photos printed. Won a couple of art contests. The pinnacle of my art career was when an artist at Marvel Comics named Todd Smith, no relation at all. But you know what happened? I was reading a Punisher comic book, you know, the superhero or anti-hero, and it was a graphic novel, and at the end of it, it's giving credit to who put it together, the editor, the writer, and it said artist Todd Smith, blah blah blah, lives in Meriden, Connecticut with his wife, and I'm like, wait a second, Meriden's not too far from me. So I looked in the yellow pages. How many people consider they've even cracked open the yellow pages? There was no internet. And I'm like, this has got to be him. I went to his house with my portfolio, and I rang his doorbell, and he lived in an apartment building, secure building, good thing, because nuts like me. And so he's talking to me through the intercom, and I was like, hi, sir, my name is Chris Smith. I understand that you're an artist at Marvel Comics. I was wondering if you would be willing to take a look at my portfolio. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, listen, I'm in the middle of something right now. How about we set it
Uh-huh.
up another day? So I went back and sat with him, and it was really cool. He looked at my work, he critiqued some of it, and he said, "Listen, if you are interested, I will write you a letter, a recommendation letter for the Andy Kubert School of Art in New Jersey, a school of
Hmm.
comic book art." I did not go. I did not go um, because I was sort of like at a crossroads. It's like, do I
Right.
like my art? Do I like this Jeet Kune Do?
Ah. Yeah.
And yeah, and it
Okay.
consumed me. It
Okay.
consumed me.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
something similar when I was working in the airline industry. Those were my two loves.
Okay.
I loved my job, and I loved martial
Hmm.
art. And so it was always, which one are you going to try to take? To, let's call it upper level management, right? So
Sure,
yeah, so
sure.
when the airline when they went out of business, I got my answer, and that's why I'm here now with you. You know,
Right
but
on.
yeah.
Right on. So if I
Hmm.
could, really quick, I made the final conversion to the IMB because of that
Yes.
inaugural seminar in
Yeah.
San Francisco. And each instructor, from Guru Dan, Tim Tackett, Chris Kent, all of them, who, the main instructors there, were given 20 invitations uh, to distribute to whoever they wanted to, but no more than 20. Now, there might have maybe someone got maybe 25
Hmm.
invitations, but this seminar was by
Invitation only. Yeah.
invitation only. And in fact, the T-shirts that they gave out even said it by invitation only. And I saw Sifu Richard at a seminar in New Jersey. Uh, and at the end of the seminar, we were talking, and I said, "Hey, so you've got this big thing coming up." And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, and I'm just asking him, I'm badgering him, asking him all these questions about it. And I said, and I heard that there's only 20 invitations per instructor. And he looked at me and he's like, "Would you like to go?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yes,
Yeah.
I really would." And he says, "All right." He says, "Give me your address. I'll send you an invitation." And I didn't think he was going to do it. I thought he was just saying it just because
Right.
I was bothering him. A couple of days later, in the mail, there was an invitation. I'm like, "Get out.
Hmm.
I'm going." And shortly after that, I realized that, like, this is the guy I wanted to have as direct a route as I
Hmm.
could get my hands on
Yeah.
to Bruce Lee, but I also wanted his approach. You know what I mean? He was simple. He was
Yeah.
very personable. Um, and by simple, I don't mean like it. Just sometimes people think simple is a bad thing, but you don't get called the Iron Dragon because you're like this complex individual. You get called the Iron Dragon because you are like, if it looks
Right.
blue, it's blue. It's either raining or
Yeah.
it's not raining.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just, what you
Yep.
see is what
That's
you
true.
get. Yeah,
That's true. Um,
yeah.
so Richard Bustillo would be considered Jeet Kune Do concepts, I guess, because of his close relationship with Dan Inosanto. Did you ever weigh
Sure.
in on that stupid age old controversy?
I've I like
Yeah.
reading it. I like, how they show the picture of Michael Jackson eating the popcorn. You know what I mean? From Thriller, like he's just like, I'm
Okay.
just here for the comments and whatnot. You know, because if how Bruce Lee did Jeet Kune Do is awesome. It's what
Yeah.
drew us in. But if you're really going to pay homage to the man, if you're really going to pay homage to his art, there's the concepts is the only route that you can go.
How do you mean?
You know what I mean? Otherwise, we're just
Okay.
copying him. Well, because he himself, it could be said he's doing, if you wanted to try to, you know, tighten him up and
Hmm.
put him in a box, is doing a more conceptual version of Wing Chun or a more conceptual version of
Hmm.
fencing and boxing. You know what I mean? If you really think about this art, he himself will say it's the research, it's the
Hmm.
self-expression. How are we expressing ourselves freely and honestly, as he would say, if we're doing exactly what he did. I believe that you should check out what he did. I think you should, you know what I mean? You want to see the progression. You want to watch and experience Jun Fan boxing, Jun Fan kickboxing, and then see where the evolution from where it becomes Jeet Kune Do. And think about it, the concept itself can be applied to every martial art. We've got sports science now that has changed the game for everything. And the way the original Jeet Kune Do that we first saw is definitely a potent martial art, but there was no, boxing wasn't as prevalent then as it is now. There was no jiu-jitsu. Well, there's Japanese jiu-jitsu, but there was no this organic live monster that is Brazilian jiu-jitsu. There was no MMA, you know, and I believe that if MMA was around when Bruce Lee was developing his Jeet Kune Do would be different. Not saying that it would be lesser than or something, but it would be different.
Let me hit you with one of the silly questions that I get asked all the time. How do you think Bruce Lee would have done in MMA?
Okay. You know, again, here's a guy who was phenomenal. Here's a guy who had reaction time that was second to none. Here's a guy who, again, he's probably the ultimate student. If he were interested in competing like that, I believe, no disrespect to anybody, but because it's a sport, which means it's got a weight class, he would go through anybody that they put in front of him.
In his weight class.
I personally believe. Because, he would have been training. It's not like he would have just, you know, the man was no fool, you know? His innovations look at what his innovations have given us. If you go and think about it, I didn't learn about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from anybody other than my Jeet Kune Do instructors. It was my Jeet Kune Do instructors that were like, keep boxing. You know what I mean? So if they're suggesting it and they're doing it, then there's no doubt in my mind.
I mean, to a certain degree, I would say that the initial push of BJJ before the UFC came from the JKD clan.
It did. It most certainly did. You look at it was, again, I mean, because around the time that jiu-jitsu was starting to get big, we had been, as if I was there, but, you know, us, our family, we were playing around with judo. We were playing around with wrestling. We were playing around with catch-can wrestling.
And wasn't Eric Paulson, part of the Gracie clan at the time of UFC 1? Right.
Yes, he was, as was Paul Vunin.
So what's your BJJ lineage?
Like everybody else, I started with seminars, Gracie seminars, and they would rent out banquet rooms in hotels or conference rooms in hotels, and you'd have 100 people there, you know. They're the only ones wearing gis. The rest, there might be one or two judo people wearing a gi, but everyone else was in their sweats and wrestling shoes. So I started with that. And then, around 1999, I met an older man from Brazil. His name was Cicero Celestiano. And he was a third-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. And he was a small, very small old man. And I was like, oh, he's doing it. I want to learn from this guy. So I did. I trained with him up until from white belt to blue belt. And what really appealed to me was that I had about 10 years already of submission grappling, if you want to call it, or
Right.
catch can grappling. And he had guys, white belts in the gi, just smoking me left and right. And then, of course, he
Yeah.
cut right through me. So I'm, okay, you beat me, you
Right.
got to
Yeah.
teach me. So I trained with him for about 2 years. I earned my blue belt under him, and then he went back to Brazil.
Okay.
So for about 5 years now, so he went back to Brazil in 2001. Around that time, I was teaching Eskrima at Wesleyan University part-time, and I met a young guy from Brazil, Fabiano Teles, who actually is Russell Leake's, what was Russell Leake's original partner
Right. Yeah.
in Underdog. So I had met this guy, and he had snuck into the Wesleyan wrestling room, and he and one of his friends would be training, and I'm teaching in a Eskrima class, and I'm like, those guys are doing jujitsu, and I just walked over and started talking to him, and he's like, hey, we're here every, whatever it was, every Tuesday or every Thursday, and I started training with him. But it was literally like, you know, he was there most of the time, but he wasn't always there, because he was just like, he literally was sneaking in, and there was no, he was obviously more knowledgeable and better than me, but we hadn't decided to have a teacher-student relationship. He was just this cool guy doing some stuff, and he was way better at it than I was. So I would pick up what I could from him here and there, and then I would go to some open training sessions whenever I could. But so for about 5 years, so from 2001 to say 2005, I didn't have consistent
BJJ training.
jiu-jitsu training. I was doing a lot of yoga. I was doing yoga probably about 5 days a week. So it was good for me. It was great for the body awareness. And I would just roll with whoever was around, you know? So I started teaching at a place in Watertown, Connecticut. And now I could bring Fabiano in for seminars. And then I partnered up with someone else. So I had a small program in Watertown at a gym, and I had a program in Middletown, Connecticut with a partner, and Fabiano was in on it. And now I'm training jiu-jitsu as much as I want to.
Yeah.
And that was good. So I earned my purple belt from Fabiano. I earned my brown belt from Fabiano. I earned my black belt from Fabiano. And then in around, I think it was 2012, he decided to take a break from teaching. So I'm like, well, I'm a black belt now. I got to keep it going. I got to, the train can't stop. So because he took a break, I had to seek out instruction somewhere else. So I ended up hooking up with Luigi Mondelli, and he runs an organization called CORE, Kore, and he's a fourth degree black belt in jiu-jitsu, but he's a martial artist. He likes the martial arts. He enjoys all of them. He likes judo. He likes the striking arts. He's into firearms, and he's really strong on Bushido. And that really resonated with me. So I'm like, I can learn from this guy. I want to be a part of this organization. So through him, I earned my first degree and my second degree in jiu-jitsu.
You had talked about how the principles of Jeet Kune Do can be applied in any art. Is there such a thing as interception in jiu-jitsu?
It's hard to do, but yes.
Why is it hard to do?
Because sometimes you get caught up in just going through the motions, but there's times when you read the action or you read the activity and you're like, he's probably trying to do this and we're going to shut this down
Okay.
right now,
Right.
or we're
Yeah.
going to exploit it.
So
And
yeah, no. So
go ahead.
then
I'm
the
sorry.
other ways of attack. So simple attack, attack by combination, attack by drawing. All those things are also applicable in BJJ. Ah,
Yes.
I
Yes.
see. I
I
see.
believe they are. I believe they are. In fact, I've taught several seminars on the 5 ways of attack. Out of all the things I've ever been
Uh-huh.
asked to teach, my favorite thing is the 5 ways of attack. Now, I guess any system could use the 5 ways of attack. I mean, maybe there is a belief in the 5 ways in Muay Thai or boxing or I don't know, Bagua or
Yeah.
Tai Chi. But Jeet Kune Do is the only system that I know of that says this is what we're doing. This is we're going to use these
Right.
5 methods to set
Right.
up our
Yeah.
offense.
Yeah. Okay. What about, because I wanted to ask you about, because, for a few weeks now, on my other show, the broadcast, we've been talking a little bit about unity in the Jeet Kune Do clan. I wanted to ask you if you think that there would ever be unity. Do you think it's even necessary? But then I also wanted to ask you if there's unity in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Where there are martial artists, there is no unity.
Right.
There is
Yeah.
none. In small groups, small
Yeah.
pockets, you'll find it. It's
That's a
a
good
couple
one.
of things. The the first thing that shuts down unity, I believe, is
Yeah.
ego. The second thing, unfortunately, is
Okay.
money.
Yeah.
You know, because what we do is it's it's secondary. It's like it's not like you need to train, although I believe you do. But
Hmm.
you know what I mean. You've got people who will spend money on cigarettes. They'll spend money to get their hair done. They'll spend money on a
Right.
fast car. They're at the bar every
Right.
Friday night. Um, Training, I don't have time. I
Yeah.
would, and I know you've heard this. I would train,
Yes.
but I got this. I
But
would
yeah. Yeah.
train, but so there's only a small amount of people who
Hmm.
do train compared to all of the people that don't. And so you've got these martial artists scrambling for what's out there,
Yeah.
um, and then and it just flip flops back and
Okay.
forth with the ego because some guys don't want to admit that they don't have an answer, and that's a big deal to some people. Me,
Right.
I don't care. I like finding the answers.
Yeah.
I like learning. That's the best thing that about Jeet Kune Do
That's
is that
true.
it taught
That's
me
true. Yeah.
that I like learning.
Yeah. Why do you think people, the people who come to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they come to you initially, and and the ones who stay, why do they stay?
Okay, they initially come to me because most likely nowadays I get it because they want to fight.
Okay.
Once in a while, I'll get someone who wants to uh,
Yeah.
get in shape. So fighting for sport, training. So fighting for sport, training for wellness, and then the last thing is, you know, I want to study these martial arts, and maybe I get 1% that maybe someone's like heard that, wow, Chris is pretty
Hmm.
good at what he does. Maybe I should go seek him
Okay.
out. What makes them stay is that I think it's that I love these martial arts. I think it's that I like being a student. I love being a student. If I had to say, I mean, I teach for a career or
Yeah.
for a living, I'm a much better student than I am a teacher. I love teaching. I enjoy
You
it.
sound
It's
like
fun. And
you
in
sound like
fact,
Dan
sometimes
Inasano. Yeah, you do.
maybe.
You do. Have you
Yeah.
trained? Have you
Well,
trained with
hey, if
him?
I'm gonna get compared to something,
Okay. Okay.
yes, yes, a lot. In fact, I reached out to him.
Okay.
I've trained with him a lot. Lots of seminars. He would also be a guest instructor at the IMB
Right.
Instructors
That's true.
Conference.
Yeah.
And anytime I could, he would come around and I had the money for it or the time,
Okay.
I would go. I reached out to him at one time. We're talking, wow, well over a decade ago. And I said to him, I would, since I'm going to keep training with you whenever you're around, I'd like to get some information on your instructors program. What's it require? And he said, this is old. Like I said, this is like maybe, like I said, easily a decade ago, maybe longer. He said 200 hours with either him or one of an instructor affiliated with him or certified by him. So if you had 200 hours accumulated, you were eligible for entry into the program. Or at least that's what I was told. So I had that. I had 200 hours, over 200 hours with Paul Bunak. I had over 200 hours with Larry Hartzell. I had over 200 hours with Ron, and with Seagum. And I drafted the letter. And he said, you have to draft a letter. And he said that they're going to verify. And it's stupid. I never mailed the letter because I really, my friendship with Richard Bustillo is a major part of my life. It's a major part of my identity as a martial artist. And I don't think he would be offended, but I didn't want him to feel hurt. I don't think he would, but I didn't want to take that chance.
Yeah.
Okay. But I still have the letter.
Right.
It's just sitting there.
The reason I asked you about that is because you mentioned teaching the Eskrima class at the university, and I couldn't find a class schedule on any of your pages. So I wanted to ask you what's taught during the week at IMB Connecticut.
Okay. So Monday nights, we do striking, which is a blend of boxing and Muay Thai, followed by no-gi grappling, a blend of wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, catch as catch can, just no-gi. Tuesday is judo and jiu-jitsu. Wednesday night, I teach Jeet Kune Do and Eskrima together. So sometimes I break it down where it's like we're going to do Eskrima first and then Jeet Kune Do. Sometimes I flip-flop it. Sometimes I will teach straight Eskrima, but using all of the concepts of Jeet Kune Do. And because if you think about it, right, Jeet Kune Do is a hard thing to teach. If you really want to deliver the information, it's not hard to teach if you're trying to be honest and free. Excuse me. But if you are you could say, look at Pak Sao, Lap Sao, here's a straight blast, here's Now Tech or whatever, but that's not Jeet Kune Do. However, if I take an art like Eskrima, I can use it to teach centerline. I could use it to teach the no passive moves philosophy. I could use it to teach, simultaneous offense and defense. I could use another martial art.
I see what you're saying, but somebody's going to argue with you that you got to get to the point where you can teach those things easily, sticking to Jeet Kune Do. Don't you think? Somebody will argue that?
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely, they will.
Oh,
Absolutely.
and what will you say to them?
You know, I would say, come take class. Come take class,
Yeah.
and let's talk about it. I don't think you can't put it in a box.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I mean?
I mean, only if you limit
just
it.
Can't. Yes. Unfortunately, now and think about that. You just said only if you limit it.
Yes.
Limit it. Having no limitation
Yes.
as limitation.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Using no way
Right. Yeah.
as way. So now we're painting ourselves into a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, is IMB Connecticut, is your reputation that of a fighter school? Like a competition school? Because I looked at a lot of your Facebook photos, and I love I bet you took the picture. Now I think about it. There are 3 guys in the gray IMB Connecticut sweatshirts. Did you take that picture?
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
you.
I wanted to be part of that school just to get that cool hoodie.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
but so what's the reputation of the school?
I would hope I try and perpetuate a reputation for being a place where you can enjoy the martial arts. We do spar, we do get dirty, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we're known for having strong hand technique. I think we're not known as being a kickboxing gym, but we are known for having good, strong hand technique. But we do kick, obviously. I mean, I'm a Muay Thai instructor, so I mean, we have to kick. The thing is that I'm always thinking, because of the Jeet Kune Do philosophy and concept, of what works in a fight. So I kind of treat kicking as supplemental to the hand, like in football, you know what I mean? You've got to have a running back. You got to have a strong running game. If you don't, you're not going to have much success, because if you just throw the ball all the time, it's just, you're going to get picked off. So I think of kicking as, those are your wide receivers. They do these spectacular things sometimes, and they get you these great results
this
when you
analogy.
need them. But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, you've got to pound it right up the middle, right
center
down
line,
the opponent's throat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Can I use that? Yeah.
Absolutely. Please do.
That's a good one. Okay, so I need your help with something, right? Okay, so let me build this scenario for you. A student comes to you and declares, "I want to fight." What are the first, second, and third things that you do?
All right. Hopefully, only people who are into Jeet Kune Do hear this. I roll my eyes. No.
Okay.
I look at them, and I'm very selective about that. I will not teach anyone. I won't prepare you to fight if you're not willing to put in the work. And a lot of times you got guys who will say, "Well, how about we sign me up for a fight and then I'll start working?" And I'm like, deal's off. You have to show me that you can commit, not to me. You got to commit to yourself. At least, I mean, where are we starting? Have you never done anything? If you've never done anything, can you commit to at least 2 years? Can you commit to being, if it's MMA, can you commit to getting good enough to be a blue belt in jiu-jitsu? Can you commit to competing in like as many grappling tournaments as you can? Because that's a safe way to pressure test yourself. Can you commit to doing anywhere from 4 to 6 amateur striking events. Boxing, Muay Thai, I don't care which. Can you commit? If you can commit to that, okay, we can talk. But we're not going to sign you up for a fight and then start.
What if it was
training.
somebody who just wanted to experience the fight game, like once even, like to take it off a bucket list?
Maybe if we could match them up in a smoker, a local smoker, but you're still going to have to. I'm guessing a year. You know what I mean? If that's on your bucket list, if it's on your bucket list, it must mean something to you. So let's see you do the work. And funny thing is, fighters a lot of times will think that it's, Chris doesn't want me to fight. No, Chris doesn't want you to get killed. Chris doesn't want that karma on his soul.
Yeah.
I want, if it's your bliss, if it's your thing, if you want to fight, great, because I love watching fights. I love the preparation, but I don't like seeing mismatches, and I don't like seeing someone get hurt. And even worse is I don't like what people do to themselves when they lose. They get very abusive to themselves. I suck.
Right.
Oh my, you know what I mean? Like, they get very, it's not good. It's very bad.
How do you coach somebody out of that?
I lay it out there for them. I'll say, well, number one, do you feel that you trained as hard as you could? If the answer is no, then don't worry about it, because you didn't even apply yourself really. You didn't prepare yourself. If the answer is yes, then it's like, then you need to stop crying right now. You have no right to go and abuse yourself like this. You trained, you just said it. You said you trained as hard as you could. You said you struggled, you invested, because I don't like to say suffered. You know what I mean? Suffered, that's a horrible negative word to say. Like, in other words, when fighters are in training camp, they'll say, I suffered for this. I suffered for 5 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. No, you invested. You invested. Who the hell wants to suffer?
Yeah.
But investing is the same thing. You know what I mean? When you invest, at one point you had a whole bunch of money in your pocket. You invest it. It's not in your pocket anymore. So we make investments. We don't suffer. We don't, But if the answer is that you did invest and you did work, then you hold your head up high. And think about this. Now we know what, if you're really into it, why don't we try it again? Let's take all these things that we know. Now you know what to expect. The first time I crashed my motorcycle, I was afraid of the motorcycle.
Yeah. Okay.
And my mom, who was not into me riding at all, said to me, she's like, "You're afraid of it?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, you got to get back on it."
Nice.
And here's a woman who has she does not like me riding. Even now to this day, she's like, "Be careful."
You still ride?
But she told me to get back on. I still do.
Okay. Didn't Richard Bustillo ride bike? Yeah.
He did. He used to always make fun of mine.
Yeah. I remember he did.
Yeah.
Oh man, you guys must have really had a connection, huh? Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. He's eaten dinner at my house. He's met my mom. He's met both of my kids. He's met all of my friends, all of my, my personal friends.
I've told, I must have told maybe Russell this, but whenever I talk to somebody who came up under Sifu Richard, I always tell them that his advice to me was teach people how to hit, because defense is instinctive, but offense is not. So first thing you want to do is teach them how to hit.
Sure.
And another thing, when you were talking about training fighters, I remember he told me, he says, when they're sparring, always have them spar in the same getup that they'll be using in their fight. right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's very
Yeah,
wise with
yeah.
that.
He was
You
a
know,
blessing, man. He
he
was.
really
He
was.
was.
He really
I
was.
want to. I want to ask you this because you mentioned doing yoga 5 days a week. You talked about karma. You talked
Hmm.
about bliss. You talk about having stuff on your soul, but you're a
Hmm.
fighter. So now
Yeah. Yeah.
tell me how you got into the spiritual stuff and then explain the dichotomy for me.
Okay. So, the first yoga I ever did was when I was in college, and I took a dance class. I was studying some theater. I was doing a theater class, and uh, to pass the class, you had to participate in in a
Okay.
school play. Uh, and I had blown off the auditions, so I couldn't get a speaking part. And they're like, "Well, you're gonna fail the class, so
Hmm.
what are you gonna do?" So I'm like, "Well, all right." So I went and found out that the dance teacher at the school um, was still looking for dancers, and I'm like, "Ugh, all right, whatever." So uh, I go, I'm like, "Hey, I'm here to, because I have to be here, and I didn't want to be here." And so she asked me, "Well, have you ever danced before?" I'm like, "Never." Like, just, at parties or whatever. And she's like, "All right, well, can you move?" And I'm like, "No, yes. I mean, of course I
Hmm.
can move. What do you mean?" So she asked me to do a few things, and I'm like what? I'm like, she's like, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, I have a martial arts background." So she said, "Well, show me some of that." So I did, I don't know, whatever, a series of punches, kicks, like a brief, maybe 30
Chatterbox, right?
second
Yeah.
shadow
Uh-huh.
boxing. And she said, "Okay, so you can move." She says, "Can you do anything on the other side?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? We fight. We don't." She's like, "So you're just going to be one sided? Well, how is that going to make you? How are you a good fighter if you're only one sided?" Because I was approaching it from my right lead or whatever it was. And I'm like, "Well, I don't know." So here I am
Right.
taking a dance class and participating in the stupid school play. um, but she improved my ability to. This woman uh, really had a strong impact on my martial
Yeah.
arts to begin with. She encouraged me to work both sides. So everything that I learn, I always
Okay.
practice on both sides,
Okay.
no matter what it is. Um, she improved my timing
Mm,
because dancers are
right.
great timing.
Yes.
She also taught me how to observe things. So he's like, because as a dancer, she goes, "Show me something that you do martial arts wise." And I'd show her, and she
Yes.
could
I
do
hate
it.
when they do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, "To me, it's
Yep.
just steps." And I'm like, "Well, it
Yep.
is just steps now that I
Yep.
think about it." So now here I am taking dance lessons. But part of the warm up was she would do the sun salutation from yoga. But she never told me that. I
Uh-huh.
had no
I
idea.
see. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So so I'm like, "Wow, what is this thing?" I'm like, "We always do this. It's really cool." She's like, "That's the sun salutation." So finally, like after training dance with her for about 3 years, she tells me, I'm like, "Oh." So I moved my martial arts program into the World Gym, the
Uh-huh.
franchise World Gym. And uh, I was hanging out at the front desk. I'm like, "Hi, I'm the new guy. I'm going to be teaching here, blah, blah, blah." And the young woman at the front desk, uh, is a yoga instructor. She's like, "Hi, I'm Jess. I teach yoga." And she's like, "You should try it sometime." And I'm like, "Sure." You know? And I really liked her approach. She loves yoga so much it makes you
Got
love
it.
yoga. And I was seeing how, wait a second, you know what? I'm getting
Right.
stronger. I'm
Right.
more flexible. I'm more in tune with my body. And now I'm also finding a lot of peace, a strong level
Nice.
of peace. Um, and it was weird because you go around martial artists And, you know, they don't mean to, but sometimes they're like, well, what style do you do?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, brother.
It's a different,
You know what I mean? What's your style? I'm like the art of fighting without fighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Show
know?
me some of it.
But yogis,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. We
Right.
can take this quote.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh man. Yeah.
But yogis aren't like that.
That's that. But see,
Yeah.
I'm listening to what you're saying there, and I'm going, well, that's absorb what is useful, right? This dance
Yes.
teacher improved your Jeet Kune Do. Yeah.
She did.
Yeah.
Most certainly.
But that's what it's about, don't you think? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I had a discussion with Russell the other day, and he was telling me how he doesn't teach the sidekick often, and we were talking about why, and he had said because he goes, what can you do with the sidekick that you can't really do with the teep? And I'm like, okay, so that the teep does fit the job for a lot of application.
Okay.
You know, but the sidekick is more powerful.
Yeah.
You know, much more powerful. And there are times when, like, if we're sparring and I throw a round kick and maybe you step back, I'm lined up, bang, I should fire a side kick. If I wanted to break down a door, I would use a side kick to do it. I wouldn't use a teep. I don't think the teep, you know, is it's just the torque and the force generated from the side kick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the teep can be used as a finishing blow, but the sidekick certainly can. Can't it? Yeah.
Sure. And the thing too is, with regards to the kicking, you know, like, you have the round kick is powerful and it's compelling, but it doesn't stop anything. A teep can arrest your opponent's forward progress, as can a side kick. So I mean, we are intercepting, right? So bang, hit them with the side kick, hit them with the teep, they stop moving forward. The round kick, you can still proceed forward if you get hit with one.
Yeah.
You could. So I think you still have to use it. You know what I mean? So that's just
unless we round kick
things,
the leg inside or outside. Yeah.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Now, so where this all plays in is that the dance helped me a lot. I think if someone were to play an instrument, once again, timing, that's going to help them. I think that a lot of times what people in other martial arts don't realize is that if you just look at your system on the surface and just go, oh, this is what we're doing, this is how it goes, why not bring something else in? You know, in the experts, the masters, the people the poster, you know, you have a poster on your wall, like, of some iconic athlete. They went outside of the realms of what everyone else was doing.
Sure.
You know, when I boxed, I would warm up with double knife fighting.
Wow.
You know, two-handed knife fighting, because it just woke my hands up. It really did, and it made me sharper.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You got a lot of guys who train boxing or the striking arts, and they're not wrong for not doing it, but they're missing out. You know what I mean? Put a knife in your hand. All of a sudden, you get sharper, you get faster, your footwork comes out. But if you don't do that, you're not going to reap those benefits. You just won't.
I'm with you.
You know.
All right. So listen, we're going to start bringing this down. So I have a critique here, and again, it's because I couldn't find the schedule. I only see kids in BJJ gis in the photos on your Facebook page. I don't see them in anything else.
Okay. So we do no-gi with them, and we also teach them when we do teach them striking. I don't teach them any Kali.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will. It's weird. I get you teach a kid something, they want
Right.
to see if it works. So I don't know if I want to teach a kid how to use a
Oh,
knife.
well, no, yeah, no, yeah. They
You know?
definitely want to see if it works. I mean, every Thursday they whack me with the soft stick. I mean, repeatedly. Yeah, they love
Right?
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
All right. Okay.
yeah.
So,
Um,
funny enough, I thought about this and then I saw it somewhere in doing the research. So I wanted to finish with this.
okay.
Great things can come in
Okay.
small packages. Is that part of your philosophy in
Yes.
life?
Yeah.
Break it down for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So a lot, obviously, well, I'll say the person who you think might not develop into this awesome martial artist,
Mm-hmm.
they might. That's the most
Mm-hmm.
obvious thing. I have a very strong, I mean, an awesome relationship with my daughter because of jujitsu, a relationship that not every parent can
Right.
say that they have. So, jujitsu was our bridge, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't that big of a deal. It's a small thing, but yet, even when she doesn't want to tell me something, she tells
Is
me.
that Christine
You know?
Doran? Oh,
No, that's
okay.
Caitlin.
Okay. All right. Because that's
Caitlin,
another one that
yeah,
came up
Caitlin
when
Marie.
I was doing research on you.
That's my kid's mother.
Ah,
She's the mother of my
okay.
son and my
All right.
daughter. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm still on the
yeah,
right track.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Finish that up then. The philosophy of life.
Ooh,
Yeah.
philosophy of life. Okay. Um, be present
Ah.
all the time, or to the
Okay.
best of your ability. To the
Okay.
best of your
Yeah.
ability. You know, um, be present. When you're in the car with somebody, be there. Don't just be on the phone all the time. Once in a
Yeah.
while, everyone does that, but
Right.
you never know. Be present when you're hanging out with your friends, when
Yep.
you're hanging out with your kids.
Yeah.
Be present. Um, Along with that is remember who that person is. Tempers flare. You
Mm-hmm.
get into an argument. Just for one moment, before you say something that you can't take back, before you go and decide I'm right and I'm gonna
Yeah.
be right,
Yeah.
think about it. Who is this person? This is a person I love. Is it really
Mm-hmm.
important that I be right? If
Yeah.
Who cares? No one really cares.
Yep.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? You know. So I think
Yeah.
that's huge. You got to remember everything. Remember who
Right.
these people are in your life. Um, for me, I can tell you that I am a byproduct. I'm here right now doing what I do or what I love because of all the
Yeah.
people in my life.
Yeah.
You know, um, I've been fortunate to have some great mentors. I've been fortunate. I mean, I got a list. I've been thinking about doing this thing. You know how people do on social media, they do Throwback Thursday. I've been thinking about doing Thankful
Ah.
Thursday or Thanks
Right.
on Thursday. You know what I mean? Like,
That's a good one.
because
I won't steal that one. I won't
there's
steal
so
that
many
one.
people.
No, no,
But
no,
you
no, no,
could, you
no. That's
should.
yours.
You
No,
know,
that's unique, man. That's a good one. Yeah. You know
thank
what
you. Yeah.
you should premiere it on Thanksgiving or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a good idea. That's a
Yeah.
really solid idea.
Start it then.
Yeah, be
Hey,
on the lookout for it because you'll see it, and I'm gonna make it a weekly
that's a
thing
good
after
one.
that.
That's a good one.
You know, I have these. You know what I mean? Like, again, I owe my mom. There's a group of friends called they were formerly the Tripod. Now they're called the Table. Who I just know that if they're in the building, I'm good. I'm safe. I'm whatever it is that I have going on, whatever it is. If it's building something, if it's my physical safety, I'm good. You know, I'm a byproduct of people looking out for me. I'm a byproduct of people giving me love. You know, and I don't ever forget that. So I guess that's the philosophy on it.
Nice one. All right, Chris Smith, what's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you?
You can find me on Facebook. You can
but now make sure they understand Christopher
Instagram.
Smith, not Chris Smith, because there's two out there, right?
Right. There is. Yes, I am Christopher Smith, the real Christopher Smith. You know, and I'm on Instagram. Or we have a IMBCT Facebook page. You can find me there. That's all right, man. Where I am.
It's been a pleasure making your acquaintance. I really appreciate your taking the time to spend with me.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, listen, I don't know. Did I saw you. We never spoke, but I saw you 1996 in Atlanta at Francis Fong's.
Really?
I remember you. Yes.
Man.
Yes.
I mean, I started going.
Going
to
Southeast
back then
Conference.
when it was called the Southeast Conference, and we used to have it 3 times a year. And I mean, I started going to that, I think, in 1991 or something. I think.
Yeah. I saw you one time, and pardon me, I was like, he looks like he's out of a video game, because you were lean. You had your Muay Thai shorts on, and you had the long dreads. You had really long dreads. And I'm like, this dude looks like he looks like a video game character.
Well, that was then.
Yeah.
That was then. This is now. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. I sparred with Guru Dan at that same event during the Master Chai's. Because at that part, at the end of Master Chai's segment, he's like, hey, everyone, a partner for sparring. And no one took Guru Dan. All my friends had partnered up, and I'm like, and I said, Mr. Innocente, will you be my partner?
Yeah.
And he's like, sure. And it was light sparring, but I had a chance to see greatness. He bridged the gap unlike anyone I've ever seen. He literally bridged the gap, latched on, disengaged. He'd do it. I'm like, this guy, his fakes. Anyway.
You should chi sao with him, and then have him. Then he makes you run into a brick wall.
I'm sure he does.
Yep, it's the best. All right, well, Chris Smith, thanks so much, man. I like I said, I really appreciate it. All right,
thank you very much.
You take care. All right,
you have a great day.
Bye.
All right, bye.
All right, another one. For the, what do they call it? For the notebooks or whatever, right? Okay, so that was episode number 94 of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues with Christopher Smith of IMB Connecticut. So check him out on Facebook, he said, and on Instagram. That's it for today. Feel free to share, like, comment, ask questions. We'll both go through and answer anything if necessary. Sign up for notifications for when we go live here on Facebook, and please subscribe over on the YouTube and hit the notification bell when you go over there for the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues, for the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast, and also for the FMA files. Coming up on Monday, October 21st, episode number 95 with Mario Pezo, and I'll give you more information on that over the weekend. It should be at 6 o'clock or our usual time. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods, and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods. And that's it, right? I'll see you next time I see you, right? You guys enjoy your weekend. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. Take care now.